You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Show We Go Baseball podcast. Today, I am Andrew Parker, and I am joined by Chris Henrique. And we have a special guest today. It's for episode 80. We have Wofford outfielder Kaz Uehara. Now, Kaz, we'll get into some things a little later on, I guess, on how you grew up and everything. But you just got off of summer ball. There in New York, which I am interested in. I had to look up the town that you were, because at first when I saw, I don't know how you pronounce it, but at first when I saw Orleans is how they say it out here in Massachusetts on the Cape. But you actually played in New York. So how did summer ball go for you?
Summer ball went pretty good. We got assigned our summer teams by our head coach at Wofford, and I didn't know much of the place at all. When you first hear Olean, you're like, oh, I mean, you don't even know where that is when you first hear it. So, yeah, when we got the text, hey, you're playing summer ball in New York, I was like, oh, that's kind of sick going to New York. But I feel like it was in the middle of nowhere. It was pretty cold for summer too. So, yeah, I mean, it was a blast having a taste of just college baseball before you actually head into college was pretty nice to experience.
Had you ever been to upstate New York before you got out there?
I have not. So it was the first time I saw like Niagara Falls and stuff, which was pretty cool. And it was the first time my dad saw it too. So if you check his Instagram, he has like 6 posts of him in front of Niagara. So it's actually kind of funny to see. But yeah, it was a fun time.
And I guess just in regards to the baseball, obviously, there's summer leagues all over the place. I feel like these days. You played in I guess it's the NYCBL. How was the competition, and I guess just and how was your team? I guess because I saw you went with 2 guys that you're going into college with that went with you. So how was the experience, and how was the competition out there?
Experience was amazing. I mean, I loved all the guys on the team, the coaching staff. I mean, they couldn't have been any better. Competition, it was pretty good. I mean, at first, I had pretty high expectations, especially when you see a lot of the older guys, maybe seniors in college, and playing baseball that you're playing against. You kind of expect hey, maybe, these guys have been around college baseball, they know what they're doing. And, a lot of young guys on our team as well. So, I guess just getting the full experience was definitely a big eye opener. Just, going at it with games and, kind of like that all gas schedule where you're just playing games like back and forth, whether you're traveling or whether you're playing at home. It was nice to kind of find that balance of, hey, I gotta schedule my practice and then head out to the game, or if I need any early work. It was kind of nice to figure that out.
And also on that train of thought here is obviously you're going into your freshman year of college, but you had attended a school that I feel like a lot of people know about. And I would say, I guess I don't want to overestimate it, but I mean, I live in New Hampshire and I know a ton about IMG Academy just because of some of the NFL guys that have come from there. Right. I think the Bosas came from there, if I remember that correctly. So what was it like, I guess, being at IMG? Obviously, it's a national brand there in high school. So what was it like, I guess, playing there and going to school there?
So I started going to IMG pretty early. I think it was my 8th grade year was my first year at IMG. So I was 12 or 13 heading into IMG. I felt like I had a lot of expectations, especially with my, with my pops in my background. I feel like I had a lot of shoes to fill, and that got overwhelming at times, especially as a 13-year-old. You want fill in the shoes as much as you can, and kind of just not let them down. And I felt like once I figured out how to cope with that, kind of use that as like motivation in a way, it turned out really well. I mean, I started on I was a pitcher on varsity as a 13-year-old, playing against 18, 19-year-old Dominicans for my first start. I mean, it was just like it was such a nerve-wracking experience, but I feel like that changed my perspective in baseball. No matter how small you are, what age you are. I mean, if you have that heart to compete, I mean, you always go out there and have a blast. So, for sure.
You bring up something that I think a lot of athletes kind of go through, especially who have parents who have been successful in professional sports. How do you go about keeping yourself, I would say, like grounded and trying to, you need to fulfill your own destiny, fill your own shoes versus trying to, say your dad or anybody else. How do you just go about, keeping yourself kind of grounded in that moment so that way you can be you and not others wanting you to be what your dad was in pro baseball?
Right. I kind of just tell myself, hey, this is my own journey. This isn't his journey. I've always had the drive to kind of make a name for myself. So I think it was my sophomore year in high school, I completely switched as a pitcher to an outfielder, which I felt like it was a pivotal moment in my career so far, especially changing positions, playing a position that my dad didn't play at all. And, it was kind of nice to experience that, going about my own journey, my own path. And yeah, going through all that college recruiting process as an outfielder instead of a pitcher, definitely opened some perspectives for me.
I am curious as well because you're left-handed. Obviously, your dad was not, and that was one thing that stuck out to me. I think when myself and Chris got to chat with Jackson Holiday a few months back, but I think he made a comment that it's like everybody was expecting him to be like this right-handed hitting, like just like how his dad was, Matt was. And it's like he's just a lefty and he's a little on the smaller side. He's a second baseman. He's like nothing like his dad. Was there like any, like, I guess when you were growing up and you obviously were starting to throw with your left hand, your dad was just like, whoa, like, or was your mom left-handed? Like, I have no idea how that like kind of comes about, but.
Yeah, actually a funny story. I haven't told many people about this, but when I was younger, I would look in the mirror and try and mimic my dad. But in the mirror, you know how it's like a polar opposite type of thing. So I would have, he gave me a righty glove and I put it on my right hand and I try to like mimic his motion whenever he pitched on TV. And I was always thinking he was throwing righty, but in reality I was throwing lefty, and he kind of just embraced it. So I thought that was a pretty cool story to have. And from there it's just kind of became a lefty.
I saw a quote from your I guess future, I guess now college coach. So he had made a comment. Is it Coach Edwards?
Yeah.
So Coach Edwards said that obviously you're going in as an outfielder, but he said some of your throws still look like it's just like that's a pitcher right there. I think he was quoted on saying that. So is it ever in the back of your mind that it could pop up again in the future that you possibly could be back on the mound?
I kind of wanted to be honest. I've always loved pitching. I always grew around pitching. I mean, of course, growing up in a big league clubhouse with my pops, I mean, I was always around pitchers. So it would just be nonstop, like watching pitchers throw, go about their business on a daily basis. And it was just like really cool to see at the time. And, who knows, maybe in the future I'll go back on the mound again, but my throwing routine hasn't changed. I mean, I still go through drive line, go through band work, all that stuff. Kind of what I did as a pitcher, but I just like to keep my mechanics clean and keep me in a type of routine that makes me in a fluid motion. So.
you still have some of those. Like I remember, I think it was like 2 years ago, it floated around on Instagram and Twitter, well now X. You were, a couple of curveballs that were kind of nasty. Do you still able to snap those off, or do you kind of hold off on that when you're throwing? Or
yeah, I've always mixed around with my pitches towards the end. I'll be like, hey, just give me 15. I'll mix in a changeup, curveball, whatever I have, and he may not like it, but I tend to throw with one of my buddy Zach Porter. He's a catcher, incoming freshman at Wofford. So whenever I trained over in the summer at Wofford, I always threw with him just to not have any complaints whether I wanted to mix in any pitches or not. So yeah. So that was fun.
You had a little bit ago, you had just mentioned some of your time just being around like MLB clubhouses. I want to ask you, your time being around, big leaguers and hanging out around MLB clubhouses. What did you take the most now that you're starting your journey now? So what, I guess from your time back then, and you kind of like, okay, like I saw how these guys went through it. What's, I guess, like a couple things that's kind of that you took from that experience and you're helping it towards your game now?
Just how much time they take on and off the field about the game. They go at it for 162 games. Especially that's only like in-season games, and then you still have spring training, and then if they're fortunate enough to make it to the playoffs, I feel like there's so much more that just goes on, especially in their daily basis. From a fan perspective, you kind of see it as, you kind of expect them to do what they do and I guess exceed their expectations on the field, but off the field, there's a 7:00 game. Some guys come in at 12 or 1 just to get, their PT work done or get stretched out or do whatever they need to do to get ready for the game. And I feel like that's been like a big eye opener for me. Just how much time it takes to be prepared for a game, not only a game, but a practice or any type of training that goes into this game. And such a big thing for me is being well prepared for everything, especially practice or games, and kind of took that to heart.
I'm not sure on this answer, but I got to ask it. So obviously, when we were speaking of you being in the clubhouse, obviously another guy that was in the clubhouse was D'Angelo Ortiz, right. And it comes full circle, gets drafted by the Red Sox. Have you stayed in touch with him over the years or anything like that?
Yeah. So after he got drafted, I shot him a text. I actually gave him a call. I was like, "Hey, congrats, man. Happy for you, happy for the family." It's just really cool to see. He's like a brother to me. Kind of growing up in around the field in the clubhouse. We would play wiffle ball before like any ALCS World Series game. It was surreal the experience I got to have with him, and now he has a chance to go back and play at Fenway as his own player. It's awesome to see. Very, very cool to see.
I was reading something that I think you had. It was an article that came out a couple months ago, and you were kind of talking about how you and D'Angelo were just playing wiffle ball in front of the Monster like before a World Series game. And it's just like, wow. That's just like a core memory that probably I'm assuming a lot of people would love to have. All right, Chris, I'm going to go a little off topic, so I don't know if you have anything for right now.
Yeah, I actually want to just, while we're still on, while you're in college, we're going to start college with baseball. Yeah. What is kind of like your preparation like now, though? Because you talked about, a couple of minutes ago what you have to put into it, but what's it like being a hitter, outfielder now versus being a pitcher? Do you do things differently? Do you keep everything roughly the same? How does that look like for you?
So back at IMG, we kind of had a set schedule for every day. So it was really busy being an outfielder and trying to get all your work in. So it would be right after classes, you go get your lunch in, and then after lunch, I would head to early work, which would be around 12:30 or 1. whether it was hitting or a couple outfield reps. And then you start your actual practice, which would be around 1:30 to 3:30, whether it was team practice or in the fall it would be individual defense and then mix in with hitting. And then after that, we'd get our lifts in, and then we'd be done around 5:45. So it got pretty late sometimes, and if you wanted extra work in, you'd hop in the cages right after lift, and it was just a lot. But I feel like what I took from IMG was, I guess, the work ethic that you need to be to kind of keep up with everyone around you. Not even keep up, but try and be better than everyone around you, whether it's your teammates or your opponents. I feel like IMG does a really good job of preparing you for that, preparing you to manage your time wisely and get your work in when you need to, and just go about your business every day. So that's one thing that I definitely took away from that.
I just have a couple of random questions. They might go all over the place, so I apologize in advance.
Yeah.
What was your college recruiting experience like, and how did you come to your decision?
So at first, I remember my first message I got from a college. It was my freshman year, and I had to completely switch my, I guess, recruiting process, since I started as a pitcher and then I completely switched my position to an outfielder. So my first college I ever talked to was actually Wake Forest, pitching wise, as a freshman. So I was pretty nervous when I got on call with them, and it's how do you say it? Yeah, I'm really fortunate to have all those calls. Getting my recruiting process started with in general. And I mean, having to pivot from being a pitcher and then an outfielder and just completely restarting your kind of recruiting process was a little difficult for me, but it turned out more than I needed to. So, I think my college, college advisor, college recruiting guy, Jeff Burton. I just want to shout him out. He has been such a big help for me in so many ways and during this recruiting process. And without him, I wouldn't be at Wofford. I wouldn't be playing for JJ and all the guys there. So definitely blessed to have that.
I'll tell you what, man. Wake Forest as one of the first calls that you have. It's
right.
for a pitcher. I mean, that place is a pitching factory right now. The names coming out of there, impressive.
Right.
So had you ever? So what? I guess what was the I know you kind of talked about a little bit on you had to restart it and everything. What was the ultimate deciding factor for you to get to Wofford?
Right after my first phone call, I mean, I kind of knew that my future would be at Wofford. Coach Edwards, he was just, he just instantly hooked me into Wofford. What they do on a daily basis, practice, their type of game. I felt like it fit me so well. I kind of wanted to commit on the spot, and their whole coaching staff is amazing. I mean, I love everyone there, and all the guys are so nice, and can't wait what I can do to help their program and what they can do for me, not only as a player but as a person as well. It's what he's done for the program is just amazing, and I can't wait to be a part of that.
All right, so I told you it was gonna go all over the place, but your dad obviously played for a handful of teams in the majors. After his playing career, were you allowed to be a fan of any team, or have you still followed any team? I guess, so what does that look like in your situation?
So I kind of just stuck with the Red Sox right after that. I mean, that's the most vivid memories I have. I skipped school that whole September and October of the 2013 year, just to be with my pops over the course of the playoffs. And It was just a crazy postseason, crazy year for Red Sox in general, and I'm just so lucky to be a part of that with my pops and the whole city of Boston as well. And it was just so cool to be a part of.
You still ever go back and watch the video of when like Aaron Andrews was interviewing you when you were younger? You ever try to go back and watch that? Or
I try not to, but a lot of my friends just kind of make fun of me for it. They'll always mix in like "Hey Kaz, how you doing?" And then I'll be like, doing pretty good. And then they'd go back to the good phrase of my interview, or the crazy, or any of the one word phrases that I used during that interview. So it's kind of a funny thing when they make fun of me for that.
What players, like, I guess you can even, it can be active or even like over the last like decade or so, but what players have you kind of been drawn to a little bit, and who have you liked watching over the last few years?
This is kind of it's not even a Red Sox player, but I loved watching Ji-hwan Bae with the Pirates. I feel like his style of play is kind of similar to mine. I mean, he's scrappy. He's all over the place in the outfield, and pretty sure he plays infield as well. But just the way he plays is just I love it so much, and it's fun watching him play on the field. And I'm pretty sure he made he made a play on the wall during a Red Sox series. And I think I watched that series against the Pirates, and just the way he played, it was incredible. So, just been following him around, and with his injuries, it's kind of tough to try and follow him around. But he's a hell of a player. I love to watch him play, for sure.
All right, I want to know about Kaz off the field now. So I've talked about a little bit about your on-field stuff, but who are you off the field? So what would, so say like today, rainy day outside, you don't have to throw, train, nothing. You don't have to do anything today. What are you doing?
I like taking naps. It might, ever since 8th grade, because that's when I took kind of baseball serious. Like before that, I would just mess around and play other sports as well. But right when I came to IMG, that's when everything kind of got serious for me, baseball wise. Having to train almost every single day, whether it was in the weight room, on the field, mental work off the field. I mean, it was just a straight go. I mean, you just play. You'd have your fall schedule, and then you had your spring season, and then in the summer you play summer ball. So it was just really hard to find like a break. And I feel like because of that, I always kind of like naps. It's kind of like a reset in my day. So either that or just hang out with my buddies. I love hanging out with my friends. I mean, they're like my brothers to me, especially all my friends I made at IMG. It's at first you're dorming, so you're not even with your parents, and you're kind of living with your best friends, which is awesome. And it was such a cool experience, for sure.
Was that interesting to you? Obviously, like once you get to college, you kind of experience that as a freshman in college. Usually you're like 18 though, whenever you're kind of going into a dorm and, without your parents for the first time, but you got to experience that beforehand. Do you think that prepped you a little bit for once you get to college?
Oh, definitely. I mean, having to wake up on your own, having to do your own laundry. I mean, clean up in the room, or else you get in trouble by your dorm parents. I mean, a lot of things at IMG has prepared me for college, I would say. I'm very fortunate enough to go through that as such a early age.
I can't even imagine having to do all that, like wake up on your own when you're like 13, 14. I mean, it's
struggle at first. I mean, you sleep through the alarm a couple of times and be like, oh, I gotta get out, gotta go to class. But Yeah, it was always a learning curve, especially at such a young age. I mean, 13, having to kind of live by yourself. It was kind of crazy to think about, but as you went on later in life, you kind of realize how fortunate you were to experience that at such a young age and have a little head start going into college. So, yeah, it was awesome.
So I know that I'm curious on this answer. We talked earlier about your time just being around like big league clubhouses. Was there a player or two that you were just every single time you're around them, you just enjoyed the crap out of that experience? Like, was there anybody that comes to mind that you're just like, that person, like, I love that player so much, or whatever it was?
Mike Napoli. He was always so nice. I just, any interaction I had with him, he was always the funny guy to be around. Or Rossi, David Ross. Yeah, he was always awesome. So, yeah, just being around anyone, it was really cool to experience. And yeah, I mean, man, I could go down a list of who I enjoy being around. I mean, I was always around D'Lo, so Big Papi would be there, and then Hanley Ramirez was a funny one to be around. So yeah, it was awesome to experience that at such a young age.
All right, Chris, I have a couple questions left. Do you have anything like empty in the tank here?
Yeah, there's a video on your IG of you playing wiffle ball, and your dad takes you deep and he's running the bases. You still get to get some time though, like when you're not out training, get ready for baseball, where you and him can just get on the diamond together, whether it's play catch or just do something fun like that.
Yeah, I usually over the past summers in high school, I would always train with him over the summer. I mean, the trainings, it wouldn't be fun at times, like it'd be really hard, but just being able to be around my dad a little more, or for that whole month over the summer, it was nice to have that family time. And whether it was brutal training where I wanted to kill him at times, or he'd be throwing me BP or any of that, I really enjoyed the time with him. And yeah, definitely fortunate to have him around.
Now that you're older, if you can go back and kind of look a little bit on his playing time, you obviously can go back through YouTube videos. You can remember from when you were a kid. What do you appreciate the most out of your time outside of being in the clubhouse, of just being around your dad, playing sports, or even like post sports? What's the biggest takeaway that you have?
Now that I look back, I kind of I was always thinking about this. It was, I guess it's really hard to just even play in the postseason, by themselves, or any type of big situation games. And the way he kind of embraced me, living through his experience as well, being able to have that father-son connection during a really special time. It was really cool to see. I'm sure I was a pain in his ass at times. I'm sure he wanted to deal with his own type of problems, or go about his business on his own. But the way he kind of brought me into the clubhouse and let me experience what the postseason was like, especially when I was either 6 or 7 at the time, be around the players. I mean, I really thank him for that. Just being able to live through what postseason is like, especially in the city of Boston. I always love Boston. I always have that place in my heart. So yeah, for sure, thank him for that.
How often does he get recognized?
In Japan, it's a good amount. I mean, wherever he goes. And then here, he doesn't really go out as much or that much here. I mean, it's just he'll go to restaurants here and there, and he may get recognized near baseball fields or whatever like that. But yeah, for sure. I mean, Japan is probably the biggest spot he'll get recognized. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if like, you'd been with him, recently in Boston, and there's still I would have figured that a few people in Boston would probably recognize him, but not sure if you've been with him recently up here or not. But I have a very good feeling that he would still get recognized up here because of what he did. So
yeah. The last time we went up there was the 10-year anniversary for the 13 champion ceremony thing. So yeah, that was really fun being able to, ask a few questions I couldn't when I was younger, and being able to see the guys, 10 years later, and kind of go through that nostalgia again is really cool to experience with my pops. So it was a blast, definitely.
Awesome. So I'm going to wrap us up here. I got one final question and we'll let you go. Well, when do you get down to, or when do you go up to Spartanburg?
I move in 2 days.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I haven't started packing. Like, my room's a mess. That's why I had to move into this room. Clothes all over the floor. I mean, yeah, just trying to get everything organized. But, yeah, I procrastinated a little too much, I guess. So gotta get that going after this, and yeah, well, I'm pretty excited for that.
All right. Well, I mean, you're just like all of us. I just moved. I moved a year ago, and I didn't start packing for the move until probably like you 2 days before. So, but it's all good. But I guess my last question for you. You're going into your freshman year. You're obviously moving to Spartanburg in 2 days. What do you have any goals this year? And you can either have them, you can have them be like on the field goals, or you can just have you as a person, like being a freshman in college. Like what type of things are you looking to accomplish, let's say by the end of your freshman year?
Just make as much of an impact as I can to the team and to the program, whether it's, whether it's a pinch running spot or a pinch hitting spot, whatever I can do to help the team out, I want to be able to do that. Biggest thing for me is having a team feel like a family. So whether it's a teammate that's shy or not as outgoing as others, I want to be able to bring them in and have the team feel like family. I mean, I feel like we've already done such a good job on that, and whether they don't talk as much or don't go out with the team as much. I mean, I want to be able to kind of bring them in and have them feel like family. I feel like that's the biggest thing, is having team chemistry on and off the field. So that's the biggest thing for me, for sure, going into my freshman year.
All right, Kaz, we definitely appreciate the time. We don't want to take you away from packing up the room and getting you to South Carolina. But we appreciate all the time, and best of luck on the move and your freshman year, obviously. But we definitely appreciate you hopping on.
Thank you so much. Thank you.